Hey everyone, how's it going on Saturday morning here with you? Go over the past 2 weeks with you. I didn't make a video last week, so go over everything. And if these videos kind of go, if they're a mess, I just do them in one take and put them out there. More about the information than spending a lot of time on the formatting. So, 2 weeks ago, here's what your open interest looked like for the weekly going into that week. And whenever you get, the put open interest this much higher than the calls, you know it's a recipe for moving forward. And so at this time, Apple was down at 380. I think this is a 380 level. So Apple was at 380. And over the next 2 weeks, Apple ran up, or in that 1 week, ran up from 380 to 400, right in the direction that we said it would. So whenever you see something like that, options, the stock is going to go away from the highest open interest, and that's what happens. So let's go to this week. So Apple came up to that 400 level last week from 380 to 400 and stopped at 400. And because that's where the highest open interest was. And then this week, we have here is your 410 is the highest open interest on the calls, and 400 is the highest open interest on the puts. So let's see what happened during the week. Go to a chart here, and Apple expired at 405 right here in the middle. And so last week, remember, so 400 was your highest open interest, and that's where Apple stalled. The last 30 minutes it went up to 403. So all of a sudden, options aren't in play on a Monday and Tuesday, like I always say, Apple's free to run. So what happens? All of a sudden, over a weekend, Apple is worth $10 more. What is the one thing that happened over the weekend? Options were cleared off the board. Options don't really exist in volume on these 2 days. So Apple just magically gets to run up $10. I mean, it is options controlling it. You just can't. 80% of the time, it is. So that's why Monday, Tuesday, and then what do I always say? This is typical example. Monday, Tuesday can run. Wednesday, it's iffy. It can kind of depends. It can go up, down, and then it gets put in its place Thursday, Friday, and that's a typical week in Apple. Going to Instead of talking just because the group of followers is getting so broad, I'm just going to really stick to buy and sell points with examples as stock. If you want to sell options, buy options, do other things, I'm just going to use real simple buy and sell points, and that's it. So using this, on your highest open interest would be your buy, and this would be your sell area. And these aren't necessarily it is going to get to, it can get to, and it won't go lower. It can get to 410, but it won't be going higher. So is the highest peak going to only be 408? Maybe. Is the highest peak going to be 405? Maybe. So anywhere when it gets near this area, that's a buy. When it gets near here, that's a sell. And so let's see how that would have worked out. I believe Monday the highest open interest was 395 when there wasn't very much volume. So regardless, if you were to buy in that area right here at 400, and then it gets up here on Tuesday up to 410, 409, that would be your time to exit. And then what happens? Comes down, and then again, Apple on this Wednesday gets down to 401. Why does it stop at 400? Well, what's sitting right here? So again, you could have entered a position and then sell half of it when it gets right here. Sell a quarter when it gets here, and get out of everything when it gets up near this area. And then, Apple finishes 405 and right in the middle. This is a good time. Remember how Apple did not budge on Friday, just stuck to the 405 area. Okay, here's a graph I made up, and so it's similar to what the week looked like. 410 was your highest open interest on calls, and this says 390, but say this is 400 on your puts, and this is the open interest. Well, what happened on Friday and what happens is your highest volume was on the 405 strike for both puts and calls. All the volume was trading right here. So this is a perfect time to go over the difference between pinning and max pain. Two different things. What you had here is why it's stuck to 405 is because all your volume was on the puts and calls at the 405 strike. So whenever Apple comes over on this side, when it goes to 406, so you had 30,000 contracts trading each on this strike. When it comes over to 406, all these people who have calls have a dollar worth of value. They're going to close out their position and it is going to cause selling pressure. So it's going to come back this way. And everyone, all 30,000 of you are going to do it using an extreme example. So now it will come this way. And same thing over here. The puts, when the stock is right here, the puts are worth 0. Now that comes over here, now they're worth $1. So now all 30,000 put people close out and it causes buying pressure. So now it goes on this side. Now those 30,000 close out and the pie gets smaller and smaller. It goes from 30,000 to 20,000, 15. Anyways, and so at the end of the day, everyone's rushing to close out. When it gets on this, oh, close out, I got 25 cents. Oh, close out, 25 cents, 15. And then it gets hit right in the middle. That is not manipulation at all. That is just a side effect of the options market, what people didn't think of when they invented them. That there's no manipulation. Market makers aren't manipulating anything. Commercial money isn't doing anything. Now, max pain is when Apple came up to that 410 area and it got knocked down without any options closing. Say not even one option traded, and Apple comes up to 410 and gets knocked down to 405. That is manipulation. That is max pain. Without any options closing, without anything, it comes down. So the difference is max pain is expiring right here in this middle. Pinning is just what happened on closing from options closing out. So why did pinning? I don't have a problem with pinning. Why didn't Apple pin right here at 385? Why didn't Apple pin up here at 415? Why didn't it pin at 420? That's completely fine. What is causing it staying in this range? So it can pin to 410, 390, 405. I don't care. It's why is it not allowed to go above here? Why is it not allowed to go below here? So they're two different things, and hopefully that explained it a little bit better. And again, it's not market makers. Market makers don't manipulate anything. It's the money behind them. If they're working for whatever funds, it's that money that pushes it around. Market makers don't blame them. They're just the middleman. Okay, so we got that out of the way, and now coming over to, so Apple expired 405, coming over to what's terrible about weekly options is, so going back to this video, I just want to bring it up. This is what the JJO looked like. This is the 405 here. It's hard to see. You can zoom in on the video if you want to. It's about 10,000 contracts. And so this is a great sign. Apple, again, was at 380, and it has daylight ahead of it. It can, run for a touchdown. And what happens with weekly options, though, there's a very small window. So let's go to this real-time graph, and I just updated this this morning. So see what happens when weekly options exist now, it causes the stock to stall. As you saw, last week it stalled at 400. This week it stalled at 410. So it gives time for this to build up and build up and build up. If weekly options didn't exist, the stock would have ran way up here or to a natural balance. Weekly options just cause resistance and resistance and resistance, and it holds it back and it gives time for this to build up. So I don't know. It's a small window, and you gotta hit it, because if you don't, the window will close fast, and you just a lot more waiting to be done. So don't get too scared yet. I wouldn't be concerned, but just know, it is a small window to get through. So hopefully Apple pushes higher now that new money will come in for the first of the year and everything. So don't get scared yet about that. Still looking good to go higher. Plus earnings is coming and everything. Next week or sometime I'll have to go over whether earnings is before OPEX or after, and that will it won't really make a difference, to me at all. If it, well, we'll just wait till then, and I'll go over it in another video. All right, have a good weekend.